Adizero ZG is a new offering from Adidas, a performance golf shoe. And to talk everything Adizero ZG, we have the guy at Adidas that would know everything there is about this, Masun Denison, Global Director of Product Marketing. I wanted to talk to you because I think there are so many different aspects to this shoe. It's not just footwear anymore in golf, right? There's performance, there's research and development. There's so much that goes into this. So the first question that I had, I know Adizero throughout Adidas, it's been involved in other categories, other sports, but it hasn't been involved in golf. Why did you bring it to this sport?
Yeah, I think a lot of this comes down to just us being close to the game and close to performance and what athletes want. I mean, we listen to what consumers are saying. We work closely with the best athletes in the world, and one thing they don't want to do is drag around a heavy, stiff shoe all day long. I mean, one of the things we learned in our research is the average person spends about 162 hours a year on their feet. Your feet take a beating.
Yes.
You know, it depends on how well you play too. You might be all over the course. Even if you play good, it's a lot of steps. It's a lot of time on the range. It's a lot of time getting in and out of your car, different surfaces. You want something that's comfortable, something that's going to reduce foot fatigue. You want something that's going to allow you to get out there and play as much golf as you want. You don't want to worry about your footwear.
Yeah.
And so Adizero has become bigger in the brand. It means lightweight performance. We thought it was the right time to bring it in and push lightweight performance to the next level. We want you to be light all round long.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole round and throughout your game and your life as you approach the game of golf.
I don't really know how to describe it. I just tried it on recently, got to feel it. I don't know what this means, but it felt different in a good way. It didn't feel like what we're used to feeling in a golf shoe. Is that part of the light all-round aspect of it, that we're going to see some different features to the shoe?
I think so. I mean, the hope is when you look at it on the wall, it looks lightweight, it looks low profile. We want that intuitive experience to the consumer, but from the second you put the shoe on, you're going to feel the key Adizero technologies. Things like light strike, foams in the midsole that save weight but feel really comfortable under your foot. The way that the molded heel counter hugs your foot but uses a foam that's 20-30% lighter than typical foams. Everything is engineered to give you that comfort, but it's going to wrap your foot, and when you start to move, the cool thing is you really feel sort of lightweight and springy on your feet, like the shoe's definitely giving more back to you.
Yeah. And we mentioned how many categories this has been in the Adizero line. In World Cups, we're talking at the highest level in other sports. I think what's interesting, we've called it a performance shoe a few times now just here, that golfers are seeing themselves more as athletes than ever before. Is that what you're finding as well?
Absolutely. They are athletes.
Right.
Look at the way that they're playing the game, at least at the highest level.
Yeah.
And we work very closely with them. You see the Olympics, golf in the Olympics is so cool, how far they're hitting the ball, that everything matters. Fitness now matters when you're coming down the stretch. How you feel late in the round. Can you still swing hard? Can you hit that extra distance to carry the bunker? You know, do you have less fatigue later in your round? You're seeing it with how they eat and their nutrition and their diet alone. Yeah. But you think about the amount of steps you take on a golf course and how you're lifting your feet and you're walking. When you have less weight on each foot, at the end of the round, that does add up to a lot of weight over time. And I think that's one of the great things about Adizero is it's light every step, it's light throughout the round, and at the end of the day, you walk off the course feeling more refreshed, is what we hear. Yes.
So how do you get to that point? Because I think there's this misnomer out there that shoes are just shoes, and like you mentioned, there's a lot more that goes into it. Yeah. We're on our feet. It seems natural that we would have gotten to this point sooner, right? That this is a performance aspect, just like a glove, just like the clubs, and that factors into our game. But how do you research something like this? And how do you get to that point where you say, this is lighter, this performs well, this doesn't perform well? What kind of research do you end up doing?
Again, we do a lot of research. I think the benefit of working for Adidas, such a global brand, is I have a seat at the table when I go to meetings with other product people. So I might be in Germany or Portland, and I'm sitting around a table full of people from running and soccer and originals and tennis, and those sports are different than golf. But a lot of the thinking about the movement of the body can oftentimes be similar.
Sure.
Or the things that they're thinking of you can bring into golf in a golf-specific way. One of the things we're very bullish on here in Carlsbad is we're born a sport, we're rooted in golf. And so whatever we do, we can be born of any idea in the brand. Adizero is one of them, but it has to be right for the golfer. And so Adizero ZG, yes, it's an Adizero shoe, but it can't be so light that we don't have the comfort and the cushioning.
Right.
Right. We can't make it so minimalistic. And you can do that in some other categories. Maybe a football boot, sometimes running, depending on the length of the race. Golf, you're on your feet for 4, 5, 6 hours.
Sure. And
so
I'm assuming there's different torque too in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, different torsionability.
Yes.
But I think the main thing is to always anchor ourselves back to the sport. What does lightweight mean for golf? And it's lightweight with no compromises, 0 compromises. And I think ZG was a great franchise for us, ZG 21 and 23. And Adizero coming into ZG just elevates lightweight to the next level because it allows us to have not only the visual, the stripes, kind of the heel sling, some of the markers from Adizero in other categories, it's the technologies as well that we're able to tap into by using that name.
Yeah, if we can talk a little bit about the technology of this too, that it makes it golf specific. Because another misnomer, I think, is that people think that let's just put spikes anywhere, and it doesn't really matter where they are. And as long as there's spikes, we've got traction. But the placement matters. What's on there matters. So with this shoe specifically, with Adizero ZG, how did that come about? With you decided on this traction, this functionality with form, and just trying to make sure that this is a golf shoe. What goes into that?
A lot of research and development.
Yeah.
Working, first of all, with the best players in the world, Ludwig Aber, Colin Morikawa, on the women's side, Rose Zhang, all the people, and Grant. We have such a great stable of athletes that we can pull from. We also look at consumer research. I mean, people love spikeless comfort.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But what do they not want to lose?
They don't want to lose that traction and power.
They don't want to lose the traction. So that magic is, how do you give a spikeless shoe, which is going to save weight, right, if you do it right, and it's going to give you a lot of comfort because you take the receptacles out of the midsole, but how do I now give you the same traction level you would expect from a replaceable spike shoe? Right. And that's why you start to see on the Hero colorway here, I love the red pop of those outside lugs. Those perimeter lugs have an undercut to them, so they kind of have adaptability. That helps with comfort, but what really helps with is for that side of the spike to dig into the ground a little bit.
Sure.
So you get amazing perimeter traction on this product. The rest of the lugs are engineered to give you good green friendliness, anti-clogging properties, support the foot in different conditions. But we really have highlighted this perimeter lug of this Spike More system, because spikeless is a category. We think this is like a Spike More execution within spikeless.
Sure.
Yeah, you can't replace them, but you're getting a lot more than you would from a traditional spikeless.
You mentioned tour players. I imagine that's a big part of the testing process as well, making sure they're happy, but also those are elite athletes in their sport. What kind of feedback do you get from them within this process that can translate over to the consumer as well?
Yeah, they obviously play at a different level than you are. I don't know your game that well, but I'm sure that
they're way better than me. Yeah.
Okay, way better than you and all of us. It's humbling how good they are. But yeah, I think comfort right away. I mean, they all say comfort. It sounds generic, but it's got to be comfortable. And you look at a product like Adizero, we're saving weight from every part of the shoe, but we're still maintaining that comfort. And that takes time, right, to kind of work in those nuances and test that. The other thing that they all want is good traction.
Yes.
And they want traction in a variety of conditions. Some people play in dry conditions. Some people are in wet weather. It can't just work in one or the other. So it's important that we test everything from green friendliness to traction in really a variety of conditions.
I almost feel like you maybe in the footwear category have an advantage to work with those athletes as opposed to a club manufacturer who's testing with a tour pro who's playing at an elite level. Not every golfer is going to play at that level, but for you, especially with traction, they're putting as much ground force as possible, probably more than you and I are. Does that help with testing too, to know that that's probably the max level that we're going to see?
Yeah.
That's what it is. We know it works for them. It's going to work for everybody.
Yeah, when I was up at Pebble Beach in January, it was wet. When I'm walking around with the Hogards and Ludwig, and these people are saying, I'm not slipping.
Yes.
I feel like I can drive off my back foot. This shoe, in fact, we had one athlete who thought it was a spiked shoe. They said, this is why I need a replaceable spiked. Like this, and because we didn't tell them, we just said try this out, and they were swinging and saying, "Yeah, see, this confirms this is why I need a replaceable spike. This is a spike shoe, right?" And we're like, it's technically a spike this. And they turned it upside down and looked and could not believe that they weren't in a spike shoe. So that just gives me the confidence that for every person out there on just more of an average player or normal day, if it's going to work for someone at that level, we know we have everyone else covered. So it's kind of peace of mind to kind of work from the top down.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel like this, obviously we said new line in the golf category, but I think it kind of fits in with some of the other shoes that Adidas has put out there. Tour 360 is one that I think was wildly successful. I know it was successful for us at Carl's Golfland. Why do you think that shoe worked so well? And are there, even though they're different shoes, are there some similarities in function and how you develop them?
Very good question. They're very different shoes,
Right.
but I think they're born from the same ethos, which is about how can we push performance in golf and how can we make something better for the athlete. Well, one thing we've learned, if you look at our line, we have a very robust line. There's high performance products, there's versatile products, there's all those different price points. We want to have every consumer covered, but we also want to lead from the top.
Yes.
And we can't just do it with one shoe. Tour 360 is phenomenal. It's an icon, but it is leather.
Right.
It's a little bit more classic. It's a little bit more structured, right? A little heavier. Some people love that.
Sure.
But you look at how many people on tour are wearing ZG23. Now, I'm a nerd. I get the sports marketing emails, and I'm looking through who's wearing what on tour,
Yeah.
men's and women's, and I'm like, it's kind of 360 is probably the most worn, but right underneath it's ZG23. And if you talk to those athletes like Ludwig, why do you prefer ZG23? It feels like a running shoe. I like how light it is. I feel springy in my step. It's so cushioned, so comfortable. And some people just prefer that type of product. Doesn't make it better or worse than 360. They're totally different. So I think one thing we've learned is the consumer always makes the ultimate decision. They tell us what they want. And we see a huge opportunity for lightweight, low profile, super comfortable, high performing product. And we see an opportunity to continue with the iconic 360, which in some ways will always be somewhat structured, a little heavier, a little more leather-like, and they're different. It's people always ask me, what's your favorite? It's like, I have 2 kids, I'm a girl dad. I can't pick which my favorite kid is. I could, I just don't want to say it on camera. No, but it's hard because they're different, right?
Yeah.
And they're different in a lot of ways, but they're still really good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
A ton of good options. Another option with the all-new Adizero ZG from Adidas.